Hey everyone, my name is Jonathan Farmer, and I'm making this video because I feel like I see a lot of people in the blueprint, a few of them, when they're getting started, they're having a lot of issues, right? And, you, you see some students that Mecca has that are, knocking it out of the freaking park, right? Like, you see some students like Jacob and some of these other guys like the twins that have outdone him and superseded him, right? Like they're killing it, like flat out. They're dominating him in terms of sales and how much they make. Like it's dumb, right? Uh, and it got me questioning, why haven't I achieved success in that level? And it really hit me. It really hit me today. I'm reading this book by Grant Cardone called The 10X Rule. This book has fundamentally woken me up to why I have not experienced success in my life, and really just about anything. I cannot recommend the audiobook enough. If you can't afford it, I mean, it's $15. I don't know. There's other ways to acquire it. The audiobook is really the best version. He personally reads it too. He does not pull any punches. It's helped me quite a bit. But again, going back to this video, the core topic of why you haven't achieved success. And really, I personally think, at least for me, I know why. And that's because three things. First off, I didn't have the right mindset. And second, I wasn't committed enough, to this as something that needs to be done. I really treated this as something that will be done eventually, and then, like doing the laundry, it never gets done. And then the third thing is I'm not taking enough action. But what Grant Cardone talks about in his book that is relevant to this conversation is he's like, there's four kinds of activity, for people. There's the first one is, there's lazy people that won't do something. And then there are people that look at something and say, oh, I can't do that. And they walk away and reject it. And then there are people that do normal levels of activity. And in this book, he talks about how that's the most dangerous because, the whole 10X rule is in order to achieve something at any high level, you must apply 10 times the amount of activity, useful activity. You can't just if you go to the office and just walk around all the time, just carrying papers that do nothing, you're not getting anything done. But you must apply 10x levels of activity to anything to be successful at anything, right? So he's like, he sees people that work for him that, for instance, that, they make 8 calls and then, they're done. I can't, no one's picking up. He's like, pick up the phone, make 24 more calls. He said, I find a strange thing. The more I work, the luckier I get. But anyway, he says that, the normal level activity is the most dangerous because it lulls you into a false sense of security where you think that, what you're doing is, it's better than nothing. When he's like, anyone he's ever met that does anything significant is operating at 10x levels. He's like, I've not met one person that's famous or any of these, guys that make $20 million a movie out in Hollywood where he lives. He talks about this. That is not operating on a 10x level. Like, you want to know why the Mickelson twins, between the both of them, have done 100K a month? I'd be willing to bet you they apply a 10x rule. Just like Warren Buffett says, when you go into something, go wide and do deep. But primarily is I haven't taken a serious mindset approach to this, and that I'm going to fully commit through massive action. Massive action is the key to getting this done. And I've watched a lot of Jacob Rosberg videos. The guy's kind of inspirational, and man, what a cocky person. I think I like that, his personality type. But what really prompted me to write this or post along with this video was something that happened to me earlier today, and I'm going to share the story with you because I feel like it's kind of relevant at least to someone, maybe not you, but this is more of a post for me to reflect on where I've gone, where I've been, where I'm going, and really, so first off, let me just give you some background of who I am and where I come from. My name is Jonathan Farmer, which I said earlier, and I work at a KFC as a manager in the United States, and I have been working there for the last 3 years. The people there are good. However, the income that I earn there is obviously less than desirable. I've recently started college at 24 years old, and how I started on this whole journey and how I discovered Kindle publishing is kind of interesting. At least I think it's interesting. Before I live at home with my parents while I go to college, and so about after I got out of high school, I got a job because I had to do something. I really wasn't interested in doing anything for myself until this last year. I filled out my FAFSA and applied for college, and thought it was really the only way that I could advance myself. Being perfectly real with you, I had to go get a job, and so I stumbled upon this YouTube video on how to be a millionaire, right? And from Valuetainment, from what's the guy's name? It's Patrick Bet-David. Excellent video for entrepreneurial advice. Then I stumbled upon Dan Lok. Through Dan Lok, I discovered Stephen James, which I'm sure some of you are familiar with if you went through the Key Money Mastery course. And he was talking about Amazon FBA, and I thought, oh man, I really want to do Amazon FBA. But to do that, you really need to, a large amount of capital to do that. From the research I've done into that, if you want to do it right, about 10 grand, which I don't have 10 grand. It's what I make in 6 months. If I'm lucky, right? With a lot of overtime. There's drop shipping, and then I discovered the course that Stephen had for Key Money Mastery was $100, and so I went and did that, procrastinated, and went and eventually did that, and then I noticed when I went on Amazon is doing keyword research that some of it didn't really apply anymore, and so that had me kind of confused. Also being 4 years old at this point, and so I was watching a Dan Lok video one day, and he was talking about whenever the student is ready, the master will appear, and literally the next day, found him make his channel. Because I was just so confused about keyword research. I was like, man, I don't need any of this. And then I found it wasn't it. It was Emeka and some other guy, some British guy that does keyword research. I don't remember his name, but so I started looking at Emeka's videos. He's actually still actively doing it, and still seems to be the largest character that's doing it. And I obviously bought the blueprint because I'm in the Facebook group. But went through that, and then I'm here. But let me get back to my story. So I was at work today with one of the other managers, and we were reflecting on how it would be nice to go do things and do this and that, and she's like, oh, I've always wanted to, the other manager, she always wanted to go to Italy, and it struck me that she had an employee mindset that Robert Kiyosaki talks about in his book, Rich Dad Poor Dad. And I started thinking to myself, you know what, I'm really a lot like, even though I think that, I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, Think and Grow Rich, The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump, Tony Robbins' book, Money Master the Game, I think, I don't have an employee mindset, I can identify people that do, But really, I still work at the end of the day. I still work at KFC and haven't produced any books. At the end of the day, I'm the same person. But anyway, so she was just limiting how she couldn't go to Italy and do this and do that, and achieve her dream, achieve her dream life. And so I sat down, and I remember something from Tony Robbins' book where he was talking about at a lot of his conferences. He sits there, and he, once you do the math for exactly what it costs for your dream life and how much you need for financial independence or financial vitality or what have you, that once people see the numbers aren't as big as they think they are, and that they can actually do something with them, that will fundamentally change your life. And so I sat down with this other manager. I was like, okay, so hey, how much debt do you have? But she was so convinced she could not do it. So I sat down and I had her write out how much debt she had, and then, well, she actually didn't write it out, but I made her get out her phone and type it or something, and she's like, okay, it's it's under $5,000 for her total debt, which she thought was impossible to pay off with her income level. And then I asked her, all right, so you want to go to Italy, for like what, a week, maybe twice a year. And so we sat down and did the math, and I found a flight for like, I don't know, $2,500 or something, and then a hotel there was like, I don't know, $80 a day or something. And then we did some basic cost calculations for food, and it turns out that her a week's trip just off of like 2 Google searches, that may not have been accurate, super, without going into like super detail on the research, but a quick Google search revealed that it was like less than $5,000. Like less than $5,000 from the United States to her family that she had over there in Italy, and that blew her mind because she'd never sat down and bothered to do the math. It actually lit up her eyes, and I realized that even though I have several different whiteboards over here, that I have goals written down, that I didn't really sit down and do the math for myself until today. I hadn't taken, I did a lot of training, training, but no action. I had part of the mindset, but no application of the mindset. You cannot do one without the other. You see people that they want to do action, but they don't have the right mindset of going wide and going deep into whatever you choose, right? So like for me, I'm one of those people that I try not to have the shiny object syndrome, but I think I have the right mindset. But I gotta learn more because I want to make sure my first book is successful. I gotta have the money. I still have that limiting mindset, and worse off, no action. Just buying a course isn't an action. You have to go to 10x levels, like Grant Cardone talks about. If you want to achieve anything like Jacob is doing, then you have to be willing to do 10 times more than he's doing, at your bare minimum. And so today, I've just signed up for his Elite Keyword Mastermind because I'm determined to learn from him. Mind you, I'd be willing to bet most of you guys that are in the United States that are not doing super well with Kindle publishing, you 3 things. Your mindset's not right. And there are books that you can read that will really help you with that. If you're just flat out lazy, or you want to get rich quick, or you say you can't do something, you have that negative mindset, you're not going to make it. Just you might as well ask for your money back. But if you're like that third person that Grant Cardone was talking about, you're kind of normal, you're willing to take action, you need to up it up to 10 at a minimum. Aim for the stars, and you'll at least hit the moon. And so this is more of a self-confession for me, really more than it is anyone who bothers to even watch this. Emeka, Jacob, and all these guys, they provided the training and the help, but they can't actually do it for you. Honestly, they provided it step by step. It's kind of ridiculously easy. Like they practically did it for you, in my opinion. But all you got to do is pull the trigger and get it done. Don't be like don't be like that other manager at my KFC. You know, I was asking her today, I was like, you know, what's the difference between me now and 6 months ago? She's like, you know, 6 months ago, you were looking at the clock, you know, seeing when you could leave. She's like, now, you want to be here and you have a purpose. And I just thought, you know, I've just not taken that I've not taken my actions to the next level. And, you know, I've wanted to start a YouTube channel for a while about something that I could contribute to, and I've just been putting it off. And so, you know what, today is the first day where I'm no longer, you know, one of the guys in the group that just posts stuff. You know, I'll try to do this every week and, you know, contribute something. Instead of being a taker, how can I be a giver? Right? It's another thing that Tony Robbins talks about in that book, is the secret to life, of joy and happiness, is to give. So, you know, that's also coincidentally the way to make money from, you know, Think and Grow Rich. And a couple of these other books I've read is, and especially from Dan Lok, is a firm believer in this, along with Stephen James. Is that his name, Stephen James? No, it's not. Stephen something or other. But it's kind of counterintuitive, really. The more you give, the more that you'll receive. And that's kind of how the market works. The more value that you add. So I guess not necessarily how much you give, but like how much value you add, the marketplace rewards you. You know, it's like the difference between me. You know, my current market value is like, what, 18, 20 grand a year? Because that's how much value I add to the marketplace. You know, if I'm lucky, right? You know, someone like Bill Gates or the Mickelson twins, their market value is that because that's how much value that they've added to it. Anyway, this video is getting around 20 minutes long, so I'm just going to wrap this up in this one take. And hopefully you might find this useful to you. You may not. This is more for me than it is for you. But yeah, 3 things. Have the right mindset. Take your limiting beliefs that you can't do Kindle publishing or you don't have enough time for it. Like, dude, you spend 30 minutes on your phone. Just uninstall Facebook for a day. That's literally what I did. I've uninstalled all my social media because it takes up my time. I've uninstalled all my games on my phone. It's weird. It's kind of funny, actually. I have an entire extra hour in the morning when I wake up. Literally. And so I'm going to replace that with doing keyword research or something productive. You know, and then obviously have Facebook installed for the group, but I might just uninstall it anyway. And just use the computer. But this video is going on long enough. Jacob Rothberg, I've joined your keyword research group, and I look very much forward to getting coached by you, sir, because I believe that very fundamentally that if you want to excel and exceed anything, you need mentors. And I would prefer to talk to someone who's, you know, who's where I want to be, and then, you know, exceed them. Trust me, man. I do believe I will exceed you. Alright. Remember, less talk, more action. Peace.